Part 4: The Institutional Cost of Product Suffering Bias. Productive suffering bias doesn't just distort individuals, it hollows out institutions. When a culture treats pain as proof of legitimacy, institutions stop optimizing for predictability, quality, expertise, coherence, long-term metabolic efficiency. And begin optimizing for ritualized difficulty, visible sacrifice, exhausting labor cycles, punitive evaluation, symbolic hardship. This is how entire society drift into metabolic stagnation loops. They preserve the appearance of hard work while working the underlying capacity for actual productivity. Why institutions adopt the hardship myth? Institutions absorb the value of the environment. In PSB culture, trust is scarce. Institutions must use pain as a proxy for sincerity. You worked late, so you must be loyal. Then skill is difficult to verify. They rely on sacrifice instead of competence. You suffered, therefore you deserve credit. Then accountability is dangerous. Institutions shift into moral difficulty instead of structural clarity. If it hurts, it must be the right thing. Then status is relational, not functional. Leaders maintain power by enforcing hardship rituals. If it is too easy, they won't respect me. Thus, hardship becomes the currency of institutional legitimacy. The 5 institutional failures mode under PSB. Ritualized inefficiency. Institutions create pointless difficulty to signal seriousness. Mandatory long hours, endless meetings, redundant reporting, convoluted processes, manual tasks that should be automated. Pain becomes a bureaucratic performance art. Outcome is metabolic drain without structural gain. Stagnation loop. Extraction economics. Success becomes a target for predation. Top performers receive extra workload as punishment. Competent employees are burdened instead of rewarded. Innovation invites envy and sabotage. This kills internal entrepreneurship. Then the outcome is institutions evolve into value extraction machines, not value creators. Then decay of talent and expertise. In a PSP logic, talent is suspicious, ease is cheating, efficiency must be justified, mastery looks like arrogance, autonomy looks like disloyalty. Those institutions select for obedience, grinders, high pain tolerance, low initiative workers. Outcome: organizational IQ collapse. Then the hardship signaling leadership trap. Leaders who want to be taken seriously must perform hardness. Harshness instead of clarity, unpredictability instead of structure, micromanagement instead of governance, hostility instead of accountability. These create a culture of performative authority, not actual leadership. Then the outcome is governance becomes a theater of dominance displays. Then anti-autonomy architecture. Institutions build systems that punish self-sufficiency. Employees cannot make decisions without approvals. Departments sabotage each other to appear busy. Innovation is treated as insubordination. Failures is weaponized instead of learned from. Outcome is institutions become locomotive with no engine, powered only by the threat of shame. Why institutions under PSP can remain stable despite dysfunction? This is the paradox. PSP institutions are stable but stagnant because 1. People internalize the myth that suffering is equal to virtue. They don't demand efficiency. 2. Inefficiency is interpreted as moral seriousness. Bureaucratic pain feels necessary. 3. Success is dangerous. No one tries to change anything. 4. Fear maintains compliance. Systems don't collapse, they decay. These institutions are not survival fit. Your updated lexicon. They are persistence decay models. They survive by draining human capital faster than structural capital. Comparative anchor. High trust versus PSB institutions. High trust systems, Denmark, France, UK pockets, pain-free operations are sign of mastery. Automation is celebrated, efficiency is moral, genius is protected, success is non-punitive. Institutions reduce cognitive load. PSB systems, pain-free operations are suspicious. Automation is seen as laziness. Efficiencies is morally ambiguous. Moral is punished for breaking relational norms. Success triggers extraction. Institutions increase cognitive load. Thus, where high-trust institutions function as scaffolding, PSB institutions function as grinding stones. The institutional neuroscience frame. PSB institutions overactivate cortisol loops, chronic stress, competitive vigilance, status anxiety circuits, faith-based compliance system. They suppress creative networks, long-term planning circuits, trust chemistry, cognitive openness. Institutions become neurobiologically hot zones where threat dominates logic. This is why they feel chaotic even when they appear outwardly orderly. The macro consequence, civilization paralysis. As PSB institutions proliferate, innovation stagnates, corruption grows, brain drain accelerates, public trust collapses, wealth pools become inert, civic behavior atrophies, economic feedback loops become fragile. The society enters a metabolic stagnation loops. Suffering first, and then moral legitimacy, then inefficiency, then more suffering, then myth strengthens, then institutions deteriorate. These loops can persist for centuries. Closing. Institutions shaped by productive suffering bias cannot evolve. They can only repeat difficulty until they exhausted the human capital sustaining them. Understanding this is essential before we proceed to the final chapter.